Hey everyone, welcome to Studio Classroom on the air. This is the place to come when you want to have some fun. My name is Rebecca, and I know that your English will improve today. Well, the time is now. Wait, what? You heard me right. The time is now. The time is now that you can do what you've always wanted to do, whether you're 18 or 48. This is the time to try new things. Maybe your dream has always been to go hiking. Well, you can do that. Or maybe to learn to play jazz guitar or just guitar. Like I said, now is the time. Well, today our lesson is called Reaching New Depths. That's right, reaching new depths. And here are some things that we are going to discuss today. It's never too late to learn. And you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, friends, I know you have your magazines. Make sure they're open to today's lesson. And it's time for us to begin. Let's go.
Reaching new depths. It's never too late to learn something new. During my job interview for Studio Classroom, the magazine's founder and editor-in-chief, Doris Brome, stressed the importance of learning new things. Life is full of challenges, she said, but a willingness to learn something new gives people the right attitude for overcoming obstacles. It's never too late to learn something new. This is our attitude at Studio Classroom. Learning to scuba dive. One life experience that helped foster in me this willingness to try new things was learning to scuba dive.
Well, today our lesson is Reaching New Depths. And of course, this is by Zach Mills. And he is our editor of Studio Classroom.
That's right. So reaching new depths. Well, usually when I hear the phrase reaching new depths, I don't think about scuba diving, but that's what he's going to be sharing about, how he learned how to scuba dive and getting his scuba certification. But what does reaching new depths usually make you think of, Rebecca?
Well, usually when we talk about reaching new depths, this means that you reach an even lower or worse condition. But you know, that is really what happens when you go scuba diving. You reach a lower place in the ocean.
That's true, but you don't reach a worse place in the world. But I like that you said in life, when we talk about, oh man, someone has reached a new depth, that means they've gotten even more depressed. Maybe things are even worse in their life now than they were before. He's reached a new depth. So it's usually not a good thing. But our author, Zach, is having fun with this idea and this word, using this kind of title to talk about scuba diving.
That's right. And of course, the opposite of reaching new depths would be reaching new heights. Now, this doesn't appear in our lesson, but it's a great phrase for you to know. And this just means that you reach a place where there's more success or improvement than ever before.
Yeah, so it makes me think of someone who maybe had a promotion at their job. Okay, they're doing a lot better than they used to, and they're being recognized for it. They're more successful. They've reached a new height. Maybe you graduated from high school or college or even further education. And so you've reached a new height, something new in life that is even better than before. And you see a picture here of some people in the sky. It looks like they've reached some new heights as well.
That's right. From a literal point of view, they have reached new heights. Well, back to our lesson. It's never too late to learn something new. And that's a good reminder because sometimes we reach an age and we think, oh, I'm too old. I can't study Chinese, or I can't study English. I can't do that. I'm too old. It's never too late to learn something new.
That is true. So let's learn something new with Zach as he talks about scuba diving. During my job interview for Studio Classroom, the magazine's founder and editor-in-chief, Doris Brome stressed the importance of learning new things. Okay, well, before we continue, let's take a look at something from that sentence.
We want to take a look at the word to stress. Now, oftentimes when people hear the word stress, they think of, I guess in Chinese, it's 压力. Right? You know, I'm really stressed. But in our lesson, it just means that you emphasize something to show that it's important.
Sure. And sometimes we use the word emphasize in the same exact way. We could say Doris Brome emphasized the importance of learning new things. So these words are what we would say interchangeable sometimes. You could stress the importance of something. You could stress the significance of something, that is how significant something is. A few days ago, we stressed the importance of sharing the road with other people.
And that is definitely something important to do. Well, let's get back to learning something new in our lesson. Life is full of challenges, she said. Doris said that. But a willingness to learn something new gives people the right attitude for overcoming obstacles. And when we talk about obstacles, you know, it could be obstacles in life, different challenges, different fears, or it can be a literal obstacle, something put in front of you.
That's right, something that's there blocking your path or your road, and you have to find some way around it, okay? She said it's never too late to learn something new, and I appreciate that about our boss here at Studio Classroom. She's always encouraging us to learn something new, and she also does that by example as well. She's almost 93 years old. Actually, no, she is. This year, 93 years old, and she's still learning new things. She makes herself learn new things, especially regarding technology and the latest things that come out. She knows more about it than I do.
Yes, that's for sure. Anyway, this is our attitude at Studio Classroom. Gabe, have you ever heard the phrase, never say never, expect the unexpected?
Never have heard that phrase. I'm just kidding. We need to learn more about that phrase in
the Info Cloud.
Welcome to Info Cloud, friends. Today, I'd like to start by asking Rex about how you deal with stress. You've taught us about playing it cool, but do you have any other advice for us?
Sure, Joe. The truth is the best way to play it cool is to expect the unexpected. You need to prepare yourself to be ready for anything.
Ooh, that's not easy, but you have a good point. You have to plan for unexpected problems. Now, friends, Rex's advice is an oxymoron.
That's right. I suppose it isn't actually possible to expect something that is unexpected. If you expect something, it obviously can't be unexpected.
And that's exactly why it's an oxymoron. An oxymoron is a phrase or expression that contradicts itself.
The word oxymoron comes from Greek. Oxy came from a word meaning sharp or keen, and moron meant dull or foolish.
Thus, a rough translation for oxymoron would be sharp-dull. Complete opposites. Rex, can you think of any more oxymorons?
Sure. How about never say never? If someone says they'll never say never, well, they've already said it.
Some other common examples of oxymorons would be phrases like a small crowd, an impossible solution, or, my personal favorite, an unbiased opinion.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Studio Classroom, where we are in the middle of a lesson about reaching new depths. Now we are following teacher Zach and his journey of reaching new depths, but we have not yet figured out what those new depths are. So let's get back to our lesson.
Reaching new depths. Doris made a plan for a group of us to learn together. You may have heard the expression, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Now, I'm not calling myself an old dog quite yet, but I certainly had my doubts about trying scuba diving for the first time as a 30-year-old. I thought, how can I swim wearing all of the scuba gear? What if something goes wrong and I can't breathe? How can I signal to other divers if there's a problem? Worries like these caused me to panic. I was struck with an overpowering feeling of fear.
Well, let's get right into this next section called Learning to Scuba Dive. One life experience that helped foster in me this willingness to try new things was learning to scuba dive. Now, Gabe, if I remember correctly, you are a scuba diver, right?
You make it sound like I'm a pro, an expert scuba diver. I do scuba dive sometimes, and I do have my certification, but I wouldn't say that I'm a scuba diver. But you have your certification too, right, Rebecca?
Yes, you're absolutely right. I've been probably 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
So maybe you've gone more than I have. But I actually do enjoy scuba diving once in a while. And it sounds like Zach is learning to scuba dive. Well, according to our lesson, he is learning to scuba dive.
Yeah, so we're learning all about the process of how he learned how to scuba dive and the things that you need to learn. And in case you're curious, friends, this is a great lesson for you so that you know what to expect when you go to learn how to scuba dive as well, because he takes us through a lot of the important steps that Rebecca and I both went through. We read here that this fostered in him a willingness to learn how to scuba dive. The idea or the attitude that our boss Doris Brome had of learning new things, that kind of created in him this environment, in his spirit, in his soul, to want to learn how to do something new, like scuba dive.
So perhaps he was a little hesitant about it at first, but he decided that, yes, I will try something new. Well, we read, Doris made a plan for a group of us to learn together. Now, I just have to say, Doris is a scuba diver. This is something that she is really passionate about, and this passion she has passed on to many of us English teachers. So she feels it's very important we learn to scuba dive.
Yeah, it's true, and I've been trying to convince her for years to go scuba diving with us somewhere. I think that would be awesome. But she still has a lot of her equipment from when she learned a long time ago. But yeah, you know what, Rebecca? Our lesson says you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And I noticed that you you found a picture of a nice dog who apparently likes to learn.
Well, this is an old dog.
How do you know it's old?
The dog looks old.
Because it's got gray hairs?
Yeah, just look at it. It doesn't really like to do much. It's just sitting there. But we want to talk about this phrase, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. This just means that it's difficult to teach someone new skills or to change someone's habits after they've become accustomed to doing that particular habit for a long time, usually an older person.
Yeah, it's one of those phrases that you might learn in English. It's useful. You might hear people say it every now and then. When might someone use this phrase? Well, when someone old can't learn how to do something. So you might say, well, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So don't try to pressure that person, in other words. Also, you might use this phrase probably even more often when someone has a bad habit. Maybe they're not an old person, but someone has a bad habit or some character trait that's not good. It's negative, and it seems like you can't change them. And so you might say, well, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
However, I would caution you, if you happen to be working with an older person and you're getting a little frustrated because maybe they're not using their cell phone the way that you want them to use their cell phone, please don't look at them and say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, can you? That's a little rude.
Yeah, it's funny thinking about it, that situation. But yeah, Rebecca's right. Don't do that in real life, okay? Okay. There is a proper place and an improper place to use this phrase. Well, now I'm not calling myself an old dog quite yet, Zach writes, but I certainly had my doubts about trying scuba diving for the first time as a 30-year-old. However, I believe, if I remember correctly, our boss learned how to scuba dive a lot later than 30 years old.
You are absolutely right. I don't remember the exact age, maybe in her 50s, 60s, but it was definitely older than 30. And the way I see it, if Doris can do it, we all can do it, including Zach. And I think that he will discover that at some point in time, right?
Well, yeah, he has discovered that.
Oh.
As we find out, the fact that he's written this lesson, he's learned a lot of new things about scuba diving. How can I swim wearing all of the scuba gear? These are some questions that he had. What if something goes wrong and I can't breathe? How can I signal to other divers if there's a problem? Don't worry, all of these problems or these questions will be answered in your scuba diving course.
Worries like these caused me to panic. And of course, when you're scuba diving, you don't want to panic. But he wasn't scuba diving yet. He was just asking these questions. I was struck with an overpowering feeling of fear. Now we want to take a look at this word struck, or to strike, to be struck with. This just means that suddenly something comes upon you.
Yeah.
You suddenly think of something.
So think of the picture of lightning, right? Lightning strikes really fast. It's just like that. Sometimes a thought occurs to you and you're struck with an idea. Sometimes I say that. I was struck with an idea just now. Let me share it with you. Or maybe you're struck with fear, just like Zach. Is there a situation in life where you were really afraid? All of a sudden, you were struck with fear.
Well, these are definitely some things to think about. But speaking of think about, let's go join Doris in Think About It.
It's never too late to learn something new. You've all heard this, but you need to really believe it and act on it. Learning something new takes us out of our comfort zone, and it takes courage and faith that we can do it. I learned to scuba dive when I was 56 years old. I loved the water, but I didn't have a chance to explore it until the new scuba gear made it possible for individuals to carry their own air and swim deep down in the water with the fish and the turtles. And I didn't have a chance to go up in the air balloon until I was 90 years old. And instead of floating in the ocean, I learned how wonderful it is to float around in the sky. Now, there are so many things we can learn by just turning on our computers and by searching. And life can be so exciting. So think about it. Are you still trying new things? Keep your mind and your body in good shape, and don't think about what you can't do, but think about what you can do. Cherish each day and live life to the fullest.
Well, it seems that teacher Zach has his doubts about trying scuba diving. He asks several questions, including, will he be able to breathe? Will I be able to breathe? Well, those are some great questions. Well, friends, do you think that Zach is going to be able to overcome this fear? Well, you're going to have to join us next time to find out right here on Studio Classroom.